Welcome in and welcome back. We are here with episode 16 of Ask Adrian Anything, and we are here with a myriad of questions from our dear friend Misa Bookworm. So if you have any questions for the next episode of Ask Adrian Anything, be sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to get around to everything. But our questions from Misa start like this. Do you like to get comments on your videos? And I think I'm going to combine this with question 2. Do you read every comment and reply to some, or do you just read some and reply to those and don't read others? Of course, I enjoy getting comments on my videos. It is one of the... A lot of doing YouTube feels like screaming into the void. It really does, especially on Strip Cover Lit. Because on Strip Cover Lit, there are hours of work that go into something you don't even see. So if you take the popular YouTubers, for example, we'll just throw Shane Dawson out there. A lot of the work that he does, you end up seeing. It's in front of the camera or it's editing. A lot of the work that I do on Strip Cover Lit is reading stuff. You don't see that. There is no seeing the work that goes in to all of that. And comments are one of the small things that make it worth it. Now, I do read every comment, and I do intend to reply to every comment. What I am realizing in my own life, and I'm not trying to self-diagnose. I know there's this big thing online about self-diagnosing and yada, yada, yada. Lay off. I think I have massive anxiety around interacting with other people in general. This is a little bit easier for me to do because I am not here with someone. But what I will do, and this is comments, this is social media, this is emails, this is text messages, all of it. What I will do is I will get a message, I will get a comment on a video, and I will run it through the processor, formulate a response, and I'll have that response. And I'll know I'm going to respond to this. I'm going to reply to this. I'm going to put this down, get it out there. I'm going to do it. Hoorah. And I never do. I never do. I never get it out there. I get some type of weird anxiety about it, and I don't reply to people. I don't respond to people. I don't get back to people. I don't talk to people. I don't know what it is. I think that what it is that I constantly degrade the answer that I am giving. So even with this series, I have a lot of videos I need to shoot. I have a lot of, I sort of formulate things on, I take a piece of paper and I fold it in half, and I've got 4 shows that I get out of that piece of paper, because I'm a tight ass. I have answered so many Ask Adrian Anythings, crossed it all out, flipped the paper over, answered it again, and ended up and never doing that episode. So if it feels like I am ignoring you in the comments, I promise it's not that. I've answered your comment 4 and 5 times. I am not so popular that I do sometimes get so many comments and so many interactions that it's difficult to keep up, but I don't get so many that I can't read everything. So yeah, I do enjoy getting comments, and I apologize to anyone if it feels like I do not get back to you, or it feels like I am ignoring you. Do you like to write emails or have quote-unquote pen pals by emails or by old-fashioned letters? This is an interesting question. Number 1, because I ignore my emails almost entirely. Number 2, it has been my goal since around 2009 to bring back the art of letter writing. I've wanted to do that. I've wanted to bring back letter writing, not just to friends or constituents, but the idea of writing to someone that you admire. I had this idea of writing a letter to Henry Rollins. I thought that would make some sense. And I never did it. I never have. It's one of those things that like I talked in my goal setting video for February, that oftentimes, too often, what I will do is I will just completely ignore certain goals and roll them over, just recycle them onto a new piece of paper, essentially, not doing anything about them. But keeping that goal, keeping it in mind, and I will realize at some point how prevalent that idea is and has been in my life and for how long, but that is going to, that idea is going to pop up in one of the other questions that Misa asks. Do you ever get writer's cramp? I'm finding myself more and more unable to write by hand, and I'm curious how people deal with it. I do get writer's cramp. I would suggest, if you get writer's cramp, find a different way of writing. Do not keep physical writing. Do it all on a computer. What happens to me, though, I have a bad elbow. My funny bone is on the outside of my elbow. So when I have my hands down doing this for too long, I get weird shooting pains up to my hand. So I decided to write everything by hand. If you're having trouble doing this, I suggest finding some other form of writing, whether that be by keyboard, or there are so many technologies now for voice to text. If you can figure out how to do the voice to text thing, that would probably behoove you. That would probably be something that you would enjoy, in fact, because what it does, every time you change the format with which you interface with your language, it forces you to examine things differently. For example, when I used to do all my short stories, poetry, anything on keyboard, bop, 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 right? When I moved from that to writing by hand, I started doing so much editing on the fly that I think I became a better writer, because it did not go straight from here out here. It went from here through here. So by the time something got from here halfway out, I was able to recognize that sounds stupid. You're not doing that. Don't write that. Change it. In a fashion that it does not happen when you're typing. I have never used voice to text format, but I imagine it would make you a much different writer as far as the language is concerned. You would have to be very much more conscious of your voice. And I do not mean the sound of your voice, which, I mean, although obviously, but the way that you express yourself and make yourself known on the page. Because of that, because voice to text would force you to be more conscious and conscientious of the things coming out of your mouth, I think as a writer, you would have to become much less dependent on cliche. I also think that it would make you, obviously, it would make you much more verbose in your daily habits. It would make you a much better speaker, much better interacting with people, interfacing with humanoids. What else do we have from Misa here? We've got one more question. Do you keep a journal of any kind? Have you ever kept a journal? If you don't, would you do it now? Would you like to keep a journal if you never have? I do not, per se, keep a journal. What I do is I keep a notebook that in which I put my short stories, I put my poetry, I put my everything, free writing, all of it. All of it goes in the same notebook. And sometimes when you're forcing yourself, hey, got to get words every day on the page, yada, yada, yada. Whether that is what I'm doing now is timing it, 30 minutes of writing. Or if it is a word count, I have to get 500 words every day. Or sometimes what ends up happening is I break it down into actual ambitious goals. I have to get 500 words towards a short story or poem every day. I have to write a short story every day, or I have to write a poem every day. Doing little challenges like that helps me. But along this journey, oftentimes, even if I am doing, I have to write 500 words of a short story every day. Even if I am doing that, oftentimes I will have problems getting started. So I will take some time to just jot thoughts down, which is essentially coming out as journaling. And one of the ways that this helped me very greatly in life is that when I was in grad school, I was writing 1,000 words a day. I would get up, I would go to the library, I would get all of my reading in for the class, I would get all of my writing in for class, and then I would get whatever words made it up to 1,000, and I would normally have 3 or 4 books I was working on for reading outside of what we were having to do for class. Every day, like clockwork, boom, 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 boom. Oftentimes when I finish a notebook, I just sort of, as a victory lap, I leaf back through, read back some of the stuff that I had read, or that I had read back through some of the stuff that I had read. Sometimes that happens because I'm taking notes for the things I'm reading in there, but read back through some of the things that I had written. And I realized how often I was getting to the library and spending 20, 50, 100, 150 words complaining about being tired. Well, in your mind, when you say, God, I'm just so tired. Man, I'm just so tired. Number one, what you're doing is making an excuse for yourself to not be productive right now. That's the first thing you're doing, is making an excuse to not get anything done. But number two, you don't think about all the other times you've said that, but all the other times you've used that excuse. And by you, I mean me, so obviously both of us. You don't think about all the times you've said that thing. And what it does is you're constantly taking yourself down a peg. Because maybe you remember being tired yesterday. But God, I must be so much more tired today than I was yesterday because I didn't sleep all that well last night. And because I'm so much more tired today than I was yesterday, well, I just feel like I don't have to get as much done in as high quality as I did yesterday. So I know how yesterday felt, and if I take it a little bit easier on myself, maybe I'll feel more relaxed tonight and I'll be able to sleep. I won't hold the day as heavily against myself just because I've decided I'm tired. Well, you remember yesterday, and you've taken yourself down a notch from there. But you don't remember that the day before yesterday, you were up here and you said you were tired. So yesterday, you took it down a notch. So today, you're taking it down a notch from having taken it down a notch from having the week before taken it down notches. And I remember starting at the beginning of one of these notebooks, flipping all the way back to the first page in that notebook, and thinking, holy shit. You mean the 1st of October? Here in this notebook, I was complaining about being tired? Well, that's no good. So the first thing I had to do was admit to myself, I'm a bitch. I'm just bitching out. Number 2, I've got to change some type of habit. Number 3, it does me absolutely no good to complain. Because I was complaining here in my notebook, and it got nowhere. I'm doing the same thing. But looking at the writing around that complaining back in the beginning of October or whatever it was, you look at the things you complained about around it. And when I say journaling, I just mean what I'm talking about here is this top of mind writing. Just getting the mental skiff off. Just taking that, just getting the top layer off of the day so that you can concentrate on something a little bit deeper. I would look at the things that I complained about surrounding it. And it was the same stuff too. My workout sucked. I'm not writing as much as I should be. Well, if I wasn't writing as much as I should be, what in the high hell am I doing? Wasting all this time and all of these words and all of this mental clarity by complaining on a page. And it was a real eye-opener for me. And it's something that I have to remind myself of every now and again. I've got to wipe that board clean. And I have to say, whatever it is with which I am struggling, no more. Gone. Done. No more of that. We're starting over. We're not complaining about it. And we're just going to start moving forward. And that has been so helpful to me in all aspects of life. Because what I ended up doing is realizing that there's little things I complain about, little things I dislike, little things that bug me in all parts of life. I go to the gym. And you know what? I hate doing this goddamn cardio, but it doesn't make me better to sit there and complain about how I hate this goddamn cardio. I go to work, and you know what? There's this aisle, and the totes in this aisle just bug the high hell out of me. Hate doing them. You got to find the wraps to put around them. You got to get them in this little cupboard, all this stuff. I hate doing that. Doesn't matter. Don't complain about it. Get it done. Because whether you complain about it or not, you're going to have to get it done. So if you take all this space complaining about it while you're doing it, oh, I hate doing this, I hate doing that. This doesn't get to get utilized for anything else. In fact, what you're doing, all you're doing, is you're using this on a hamster wheel. Complain, 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 complain. So that by the time I get home to do my writing, complain, complain, complain has worn out the little hamster inside. So he's just creaking along by then. And it's all aspects of life. For me. Maybe you don't complain as much as I do. I don't know how I got here. I don't know why I'm answering this question so thoroughly. But yeah, thank you, Misa, for your questions. That is all I have for this, the 16th episode of Ask Adrian Anything. If you have questions which you would like me to ask, I will do my best to reply to them. I will do my best to acknowledge the comment that you left on this video. Thank you, Misa, for bringing that to my attention, that it's on other people's attention.